Welcome to this episode of Production Flow 101. I'm Kendall Weger from the Technical Services Team North America. So what is production flow? It's the continuous and uninterrupted method of production. Every week, a set of processes are carried out in different areas of the farm in order to produce piglets. Let's take a closer look to understand better. In this slide is an aerial view of a sow farm. You can see the different buildings that make up each area. They are identified by numbers to help you understand as we review. Number 1 is the GDU, or Gilt Development Unit, which can vary depending on each farm, type of facilities, and gilt reception ages. Here, the gilts will grow until they reach puberty, then we will start boar exposure and H&S, or a heat no serve program, before sending them to the gestation area. Buildings 2 and 3 are the gestation barns. Gilts and sows will be inseminated and remain in this area until days before their farrowing date. At this time, they will be moved to Building 4 and 5 to prepare for farrowing, lactation, and finally to wean their piglets. The weaned sows will be moved back to Gestation Barn in the wean row to prepare for breeding, while the piglets will then be moved to the nursery that could be located at another site. The GDU building, as I mentioned earlier, varies depending on the age they receive the pigs at each farm. This slide represents the 3 areas. Number 1 is the gilt nursery. This is where they receive the gilts from weaning at approximately 3 weeks of age, and they grow until they're 10 weeks of age. Then they will be moved into Barn 2. Barn 2 is the grower finisher, which has more floor and feeder space since the gilts will be growing up to 24 weeks of age. At that time, the selection of the gilts will occur. Number 3, the GDU, is split into 2 areas. On the left side are pens and the right side are stalls. Boar exposure begins with the selected gilts around 24 weeks of age in pens, and then ideally, once they've had their first H&S and they're at the proper weight and age, they will be moved into stalls. It's important that we are not breeding any gilts under 300 pounds and that we minimize the number of gilts that are bred over 350 pounds, as these gilts have a higher risk of being removed from the herd early. Let's take a quick look at an example of what it might look like if we entered 100 gilts into the GDU around wean age. Unfortunately, we can expect some mortality, resulting in about 97 gilts that are sent to the grower finisher, where selection will occur. At 24 weeks of age, the selection process is complete. This could result in about 73 gilts being sent to begin boar exposure and the H&S program. And we have to remember that not all gilts will cycle, so consider about 69 gilts being ready for the insemination process each week, and we have to remember that not every single gilt that's placed into the nursery will make the cut. These are some pictures from inside of the GDU to show the pens and stalls of gilts and boars used for heat detection. It's important to note that the boars may go to the female or that the females can be brought to the boar. If you look at this picture on the top left, you're going to see a setting where gilts are in pens, and in this case, the boar would be placed directly into the pens where he can interact with the females, have nose-to-nose contact, and provide stimulation. If we look down here in the bottom left, this is called a bear system. This stands for boar exposure area. This allows for gilts to be brought to multiple boars in a safe manner. And then if we look at these 2 pictures on the right, these would be gilts that are placed into stalls where a boar would be run in front to help with stimulation and heat checking. This is a diagram of a gestation barn. There are spaces for gilts, weaned sows, opportunity sows, and gestating sows. If we look here at this first top row, this would be gilts coming from the GDU, weaned sows that come from the farrowing rooms, and opportunity sows. So those would be sows that are late weaners, returns, NIPs, etc. Now the snake here starts with the last group bred, and it's going to continue week after week and flow through the barn until we get all the way to the end here, which is the group of sows that are going to be loaded into farrowing around 112 days, and this will make room for the next group of breeds. Here are some pictures from the gestation barn. You can see where the wean sows, the gilts, and the opportunity sows are placed to focus on heat detection. And then down here, would be the start of the breeding group following the snake of gestation until 112 days to load the farrowing rooms. Let's take a look at an example of how the farrowing flow works. And remember, this could be slightly different for each farm depending on your room size, and it could also affect the age spread of the piglets. So starting with room 1, this would be where the gestating sows are loaded 3 days pre-farrow. As we move to the left, the ages of the piglets become older. Room 2 is already closed with piglets from 2 to 5 days old. At this time, processing begins. Room 3 has piglets from 6 to 9 days of age. Room 4 has piglets from 10 to 13 days of age. Room 5 has piglets from 14 to 17 days of age, and room 6 is ready to be weaned. After weaning, the room is prepared to be power washed and disinfected for the next group of gestating sows, and the weaned sows are sent to the gestation barn in the wean row to be bred back. Here's a picture of farrowing rooms before and after they are loaded. If you look at the right-hand side, you'll see a room that has been washed and disinfected and is getting ready to be loaded with due to farrow sows. If you look at the picture on the left-hand side, this room has already been loaded and these sows will be farrowing in just a few days. For more information and training material, please visit the Reproduction Resource Center at pic.com. Here's a short video on how to find the Employee Resource Center and glossary and acronym location. Once you're on the site, find Services, go to Employee Training Resources, scroll down to ProConnect Reproduction Resource Center. Once you're here, you'll find a variety of topics to help you train and educate your team. Preparing you for a successful career in sow production is important to us. Your success is our success, so please check out our training resources and contact your account manager or technical services representative, or please feel free to email PIC with any questions. We appreciate your attention and look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Production Flow.